Today we look at 5 diesel cars for every price range, 50k to 10k, all with pretty insane performance and fuel efficiency. Let's get straight into it. Let's kick off with the Audi SQ8, a car built on the same platform as the Bentley Bentayga, Porsche Cayenne, and even the Lamborghini Urus, just with slightly less luxury and performance when compared with those cars. But what it doesn't lack is practicality and fuel economy, given this mid-sized luxury crossover SUV comes with a 4-litre twin turbocharged V8 engine that makes 428 brake horsepower, 900 Nm of torque, and gets to 60 in 4.6 seconds. Not bad for a car that weighs in at 3,500 kilograms, and that's partially made possible by having a mild hybrid system. That being said, in hybrid only, the car will only manage around 14 miles per hour, so pretty ideal for central London but not many other places. That weight and power does slightly impact fuel efficiency, as it's the least economical car on the list, coming in at 32 miles per gallon, which is still around the average you can expect out on the roads for a combustion engined car. In my opinion, you only go for one of these because you've got a family, responsibilities, and all the other things that stop you from getting something completely impractical, but you're not yet willing to let go of fast and fun cars. And you do benefit from some decent luxuries too in these, with the adaptive air suspension as an option, plus 4-wheel steering to keep the car that bit more agile despite its size and weight. The interior too is super nice, minimalist but well equipped with pretty much everything you could possibly want on a modern car, including all the safety stuff, but for me, outside of the practicality and efficiency, I wouldn't say this is a particularly shouty car, and it might be that you don't need to go for an SQ8 when a cheaper high-spec Q8 would suffice. They'll run you around £43,000 at the bottom end, and 50k is enough for 2020 example that's done around 50,000 miles. They're pretty new, so not much to shout home about in terms of reliability, but some owners have suffered issues with the mild hybrid system, and turbos have also had issues too. Early diff wear was also known. Next up we have another mild hybrid, the G22 generation BMW M440D, which is similar to the SQ8 in that it's not quite the range topper, that being the M4, but it's the most performance diesel example of the 4 Series lineup. That's thanks to its 3-litre twin turbocharged inline 6 that ever so slightly combines with electric power to make 335 brake horsepower or 700 Nm of torque, taking the car to 60 in 4.5 seconds, making it the quickest car on the list, helped by the fact that it's got on BMW's xDrive all-wheel drive layout. It's also the most economical car on this list, managing around 48 miles per gallon, which is made possible by the mild hybrid system that regenerates energy under braking before supplying that power back either into the car's electrics or to give a little boost to that fuel economy by slightly reducing the reliance on internal combustion to propel the car forwards. Of course, when compared with the M4, they aren't as aggressive looking outside or in, and they don't benefit from being a complete M car, but as an M Light they still look good, especially if spec with all the optional extra carbon parts they can get. You can easily get one to look and feel not far off an M4 in terms of aggression without having to go for aftermarket parts. The M Performance list includes splitters, canards, side skirts, bigger wheels and a lip spoiler too, so you can basically run this thing as a bit more of a sleeper without those bits or have them to turn a few more heads. It's also worth mentioning that with a stage 1 remap, some tuners mentioned getting another 70 brake horsepower more on top and dropping the 0 to 60 down to around the 4-second mark, which is pretty sick. They're listed anywhere from around £32,000, and 40k is enough for a 2022 model that's done around 20,000 miles. The car is mostly known to be pretty reliable too, given it's so new, and owners on forums only really point to issues with faulty sensors, infotainment glitches, and sometimes delays on replacement parts early doors. Now we're on to undoubtedly the most luxurious car on the list, the Mercedes S400D from the W222 or 6th generation S-Class. Considering this car still looks pretty new today, it's crazy to think it was originally designed back in 2009 before heading into production in 2013, so it's actually pretty old, although it's worth mentioning that S400D only arrived following the facelift in 2017, so it is slightly newer. And as it's slightly newer, it does have a serious focus on things like emissions and efficiency, with the miles per gallon figure of 44, which is pretty decent even by today's standards for a car as luxurious and capable as the S-Class. They come with a 3-litre twin turbocharged inline 6, stepping away from the V6s of the pre-facelift diesels, and they make 335 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 5.2 seconds. Not insanely fast, but I would argue these make so much more sense than buying yourself an S63 AMG. The car focuses on luxury and waftability way more than the driver experience, and I'd much rather sit in the back of one than be driving one, even though they have been praised for their handling. The facelift brought about a whole bunch of new technologies, most of which you might not actually notice as they're electrical and focused on the engine, though you might notice the new autonomous driving tech and the new comfort control to keep all passengers in pure bliss. Add on the great quality materials on the interior, and the executive looks both outside and in, and this car really doesn't look its 8 years of age. 21 grand will get you into one of these, and for our 30k limit you'll get a 2019 model that's done around 65,000 miles. On forums the main issues I could find were around oil leaks from the turbocharger, oil feed pipe, and some sketchy rear seatbelt extenders, which are a luxury feature anyway. Longer term I'd be thinking about the air suspension and carbon build-up, plus as they're so technologically advanced it would be electricals going wrong that might cause trouble. If you are enjoying this video, I'm doing my best to reach 150,000 subscribers, so if you want to get involved and watch 2 videos every single week, then please do hit subscribe. And in the comments down below, let me know what the best performance diesel car ever has been so far. For our 20k price range, we have the first generation Porsche Panamera, and having recently driven the most recent gen example, I have a newfound respect for these cars, not as performance Porsches, but as a properly nice luxury Grand Tour that offers decently dynamic handling. And the diesel would make even more sense for a Grand Tour. Maybe you don't benefit from the great sounds of a nice petrol V8, but you absolutely will benefit from being able to spend way less cash on your travels, given these manage around 44 miles per gallon. That's thanks to the car's 3-litre turbocharged V6 engine, putting out 295 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 5.8 seconds, and with the lowest torque figure on the list at 650 Newton meters. The Panamera took inspiration from the 989 concept car, another 4-door 911 styled idea from the brand. That concept came through to the Panamera, which is supposed to resemble the 911 aesthetically from the exterior, just with a more comfort and luxury focused interior than the sportier 911. Though you can tell a first gen looks a little older now with the new generations and the Taycan out there, I don't think they've aged badly at all, especially in the right spec. Yes, you might want to upgrade the infotainment on the interior to be a bit more relevant to today's standards, but it's still a great looking and well equipped car for its age. It was also an important part of making Porsche have more longevity, as alongside the Cayenne and Macan, it's offered buyers something more practical to drive alongside their 911s, which splits opinion amongst purists, but having driven the Panamera, I do like how beautifully they waft along. They start anywhere from around £10,000, and double that would get a 2014 example with around 70,000 miles on the clock. We're of course going a bit older with the Panamera, so there are more known issues on forums, including with the timing chain tensioners, fuel injectors, and oil or coolant leaks. The fuel injectors in particular can be an expensive replacement, but the most crucial to be aware of would be a timing chain tensioner failure. As we cut the budget in half to 10k, we have probably also the best value for money car on this list, the Jaguar XF in S spec, from the X260 XF generation, which is surprisingly modern. The well-loved Ian Callum designed this car, and it is incredibly good looking, especially in S spec, where it got some nice aggressive stylings, particularly around the bumpers, and a quietly sporty interior too. Given Jaguar have now shifted their brand with a whole new design language and market segment, I think these looks will stand the test of time, as the car isn't being replaced or updated with anything else, so it's just a car that represents a final point in time for Jag as we've known it. And it comes with a 3-litre twin turbocharged V6 engine, putting out 295 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 6.2 seconds, making it the slowest car on the list, but that's still pretty decent for sub 10k, and speed isn't really what this list is about either way. It's fuel economy, and this car will manage around 43 miles per gallon, which is quite good, and it puts out around 700 Newton meters of torque as well. These actually came as both saloons and estates, and the latter are seriously good looking cars, though difficult to find for sub 10k. Like the BMW and Audi, these have pretty nice modern executive interiors, and I really do think this era of Jag had their interiors pretty spot on. Yes, there was the odd complaint about finish, but they do a good job of harking back to classic British interiors without having to commit to some crazy walnut panels and the likes. 7.5 grand will get you into one of these, and 10k is enough for a 2016 model that's done around 100,000 miles. Turbo problems do seem to appear on forums, and as is common with diesels, with the DPF2. The EGR cooler can be troublesome, and some of the plastic coolant parts are known to be a bit fragile. Forums also sometimes complain about service experiences from JLR, but that's going to be dealer dependent. If you like fuel efficient cars that are great value for money, you should check out this review of the BMW i8. It was a super interesting car to drive. Thanks for watching, and to patrons their support, I'll see you in the next one.